Welcome back to our Profits Unlimited podcast channel. Recorded live here on Turfs Up Radio studio in Louisville, Kentucky. Got something really exciting we're going to talk about. This just happened to us the other day, and we had a customer call that's been a customer for 9 years, and he calls up and he says, Wayne, he said, I got somebody that's about $176 a year less expensive than you all. And this is a residential client, and we'll just call him Bob for now because the name doesn't matter. But he says, what can you do to maybe close that gap a little bit for me? He said, because I like your service, but, $176 a year, that's quite a bit of money. So I said, well, let me do this. Let me look into your account and see, exactly what you're paying for everything that we're doing for you, and I'll give you a follow-up call back. I think that's the first thing we have to do when somebody calls. Number one is not make a really quick decision saying, okay, well, we'll meet or beat that price. Don't worry about it. Okay? So give yourself some time. Say, Mr. Smith, let me take a look at it and I'll give you a call back and I'll follow up. That way you've got time to make a good decision, a good business decision, rather than just a rash decision. Or, what I call a counter decision sometimes. So we did that. We said, hey, let us take a look at your account. We'll give you a call back. Because, looking at it from a business perspective and a customer's perspective, what I've found in 40 years of business and dealing with people, both residentially and commercially, is simply this. And I'm sure you experienced the same thing, whether you've been in business 5 years or 40 years or 100 years, regardless of how long you've been in business, is that after you've had a customer for a while, and what I mean by a while is, long enough for them to forget what it was like before they had you. Long enough for them to remember what it was like before they had you. Somebody that shows up, you do a good job, you return their phone calls, they forget the pain that they were going through prior to finding your service. And that's what this situation was. I know when this customer came on with us, very similar story like we all hear is, my guy's not showing up or the quality of the work's not what it should be. But after they've hired you or hired me, and you've been providing that good service for a number of years, they forget about what it was like to come home and grass be blown in their windowsills, or the property's not trimmed properly, or you didn't show up this week and they're having to call you and say, where you at? So all of a sudden, the decision that they made to hire you several years ago, based on the perceived value that you created for them, they've forgotten about that a little bit. They've gotten complacent. So now, after 5, 6, 7, 10 years of service, or maybe longer, they're thinking more about the cost of the service rather than the value of the service. And our talk today is going to be, what are you doing to not only continue to create value for that customer, or are you getting complacent with that customer because they've been around for a number of years, or you just kind of forget about them? Not that you forget about them, literally, but I think sometimes after somebody's been with us for so long, we start to call them our customer. That's my customer. And that's okay if you want to look at it that way, that's my customer. But what we have to do at Wayne's Lawn Service, and what you need to do, is to flip that around just a little bit, to not where we say, as a business owner, that's my customer. What do we want the customer to say? Think about it a second. What do we want the customer to say? Because it's easy for us to say, that's my customer. But the goal for you is for that customer to say, that's my lawn service. Because when they say that's my lawn service, you've achieved the goal of loyalty to your business. And that takes us to a little bit of a tangent here on what's more important, customer service or customer loyalty. And we've got a great podcast on that you can listen to, so I'm not going to get that far into it. But at the end of the day, it's customer loyalty that we need to shoot for. Because every one of us have been fired by somebody that was satisfied. Our customer just the other day that was calling us in, he was satisfied with the service, but he was not loyal at this point because he was looking now at the cost of our service versus the value of our service. So the challenge that I put out there to you is this. What are you doing for your customers that have been around, 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, 15 years to let them see that you still appreciate their loyalty to your company? Or is it just every season you're just going back out and doing the same thing over and over and over again for them, giving them a chance to get complacent? You've become a little complacent, and now we lose a long-term customer that we had a really good relationship with. A few things that we can do as a business, okay, that I found that helps us with that, okay, is, do you still communicate with your long-term customers? Now, if you're a one-truck operation or a two-truck operation and you're seeing that customer on a regular basis, then certainly you're probably seeing them at least some, right? But if you're a larger company, are you still having verbal communication occasionally with them? It's easy to send an email. It's easy to send them a text. But, good relationships are personal relationships. And it's hard to fire somebody that you like and And by keeping that relationship, that communication relationship there, I think goes a long way to increasing the loyalty that your customers have with your company. And not just that's the communication side, but what about an evaluation sheet? Are you giving your customers a chance to evaluate your service? Well, they've been a customer for 10 years. Certainly they're happy with it. If you're not asking if they're happy, maybe they're to the point of accepting a little bit of mediocrity as well, because maybe they don't know or expect it to get any better than just the average service. So that's why they're staying with you. Come up and utilize an effective evaluation sheet, something very simple, whether you do it in paper format or electronic format, where you email it to them, however you want to get it to them. But have them tell you what kind of job you're doing. Because what I've found in 40 years of in business, even though I'm verbally communicating with somebody, sometimes people don't like to tell you you're not doing something right. But they'll put it down in writing or they'll email it when you ask for their feedback. So give your customers an opportunity to ask and tell, hey, what do you do? Or I'd like you to do this better. Give them an opportunity to feel like you care and you want to listen to what their needs and wants really are. And those are two different things, right? Needs versus wants. Because a lot of what we're doing for people are things that they want, not that they necessarily need. So when people want something, what are they willing to do for it? They're willing to pay a little more for it in a lot of cases. But what we have to do as a business is to create the value in their minds and don't allow that value or that perceived value fall off the table. And that's what I think the biggest challenge is for any of us. Wayne's Lawn Service, your business, whoever it is what are we doing to keep that perceived value up for our business? Communication, evaluations, responding to complaints. You've serviced somebody long enough, you're going to have some things you don't do right. How do you respond to those complaints? Do you call them back quickly? Is the level of the service consistent? Is the level of the service dependable? Not just from a quality standpoint, but is it dependable? Or because somebody's been around sometimes for a long time, do we think, well, I'll take care of Mr. Smith tomorrow. I'm going to throw this new person in there and get them taken care of. You understand your routes. I don't understand your routes. But what I do understand, it's kind of like sometimes the cable companies, right? Or DirecTV or whoever it may be in your market. They always want to give all these specials to new clients. Ask yourself this question. How's that make you feel? So when you're offering mulching or hedge trimming or whatever diversification of services that you offer your customers, are you giving your long-term loyal clients something that makes them feel special as well? Or is it just for new clients? Because what we saw happening at Wayne's Lawn Service, quite honestly, was we were doing all this promotion toward new customers coming in, but we were forgetting a little bit about the customers that we already had. And why do we not want to forget the customers that we already have? What do we already have with those customers? Put your thinking cap on for a second and let's think about it. What do you already have with your existing customer base? Not a wrong answer, but what do you already have? I think the most important thing we already have with our existing customer base is a relationship. They know us, they like us, and they're spending money with us. So let's push on that relationship. Let's don't forget about the customers that we already have. And I don't know that that's the case with our client that called the other day and said, hey, Wayne, I found somebody that's $176 a year. I hadn't figured this out, but I'm going to do it right now. $176. If we looked at nothing other than mowing, just mowing that particular customer, in our market, if I take 176 and divide that by 37 services, he's getting ready to fire us potentially over $4.76. If we as a business can't create $4.76 of value with a customer, whose fault is that? It's not the client's fault. It's our fault. So what we did with that particular client, and what we do with all of our clients that want to call in and cancel over cost, is we try to do what we already thought we were doing, and that was creating perceived value. We ask them, hey, how's your service been? How's the dependability been? How's our communication been? When you call in, you get somebody. We respond to those things. And we used those tactics the other day. And guess what? He said, you know what? You're right. I've kind of forgotten a little bit about that, Wayne. I said, well, I'm not telling you not to make a change. But I'm saying, hey, maybe I did get a little complacent, Mr. Smith. But on the other side of it, I think you've just told me that maybe you got a little complacent too. So let's just move forward if you're good with it. We won't forget about your loyalty, but don't forget about the good service, the communication, the dependability that you have with our service, the professionalism that you get with our service. It's the little things. And he said, you know what, you're right. He said, I'm going to stay with you guys. He said, because, $176 a year, it's not worth going through all that. So I think that's the message that I'd like you to hear today, is that we've constantly, regardless of how long that customer's been around, we've got to understand and appreciate the fact that we can't forget about them. We can't get complacent, because when we forget about them and get complacent just because they've been around a long time, It's no longer my customer, like we try to call it in this industry, right? That's my customer. He stole my customer. I don't have a competitor out there that has stole any of my customers, and neither have you. What we've done as a business, me, you, what we've done is we sometimes get a little complacent with it. Don't let complacency lose a loyal client. Let your customers know you care, not just one way, but many ways. Offer them discounts on services, okay? If you're offering it to somebody else, offer it to them. Communicate. Give them a chance to critique your services. Get honest feedback. Maybe you got a trimming issue or a blowing issue on a property, but it's not bad enough for them to call. But hey, if you ask, hey, how is our blowing? How's our trimming? How's our mowing? And have them tell you above average, excellent, average, and then you can decide what you want to do with that data you collect with that customer. And certainly let them know you got that feedback back. And hey, here's what we're going to try to do to correct that. That's how we create loyalty. And that's how we retain our customers year after year after year after year. Let's don't forget about them, because we've already got the relationship established. They trust us. They like us. They're spending money with us. And we're making a profit. And in return for that, we're giving them back excellent service, and we're selling perceived value. And at the end of the day, just remember one thing. Profit is not a dirty word. And we can maintain those profit margins that we want if we don't get complacent with any of our customers, but certainly our long-term customers. Get that out of your mindset that that's my customer. Let's get it in the customer's mindset. What do we want them to say? We talked about it earlier. Think about it. What do we want our customers to say? We want our customers to say, that's my lawn service. Because when they say that's my lawn service, you've got a loyal customer, and you got a customer that's going to talk well about you, and they're going to tell their friends about you. And what's that going to cause? It's going to cause you to grow your customer base based on perceived value and not price. And that in itself creates loyalty. Because the customer that hires you for cost will fire you for cost. The customer that hires you for value will be more loyal as long as you show them that you appreciate the loyalty. Thanks, and have a great day.